Hi folks, you're with Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this radio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about corporate or professional business training, but I suppose you could really say any sort of training today. Now, I like a lot of people, I suppose I've been through a lot of corporate training courses and even at college. The people who were doing the teaching and the lecturing were people who'd actually done these things themselves out in the wider world. It doesn't mean they have to be. There are some, like a teacher of classical Greek. It does mean that they lived 2,000 years ago in classical Greece, for example. So it doesn't always follow that you have to have done it. But if anything, in anything that requires a practical aspect, then it used to be, by my experience at least, that everyone that was taking those classes had done it themselves, and they had achieved a level of expertise and accomplishment in their field, and then would teach others from the viewpoint of understanding the subject intimately. Now, that's sort of changed. People are trained now, or not even trained, they're just given the job of being trainers. Here's your checklist, here's your bullet points, this is the course notes, go do it. And they're just repeating stuff that they don't understand, they don't comprehend, they don't know anything about it. And I noticed this sort of recently, that just in a meeting a number of trainers, I just assumed that most of them, maybe all, but most of them would be expert in the subject themselves. And I was quite surprised that none of them were. I mean, not one. They were all just trainers running off notes and checklists and bullet points and PowerPoint presentations and things like that. They actually knew nothing about the subject, and what's more, didn't care and didn't want to know. They stuck rigidly to the course notes. They repeated those, and that was it. So I was rather surprised by that these trainers, not that people like that exist, but there are plenty of folks around who do have the expertise, probably particularly older people, I guess, who could do this training, and who could really deliver an education that was couched in practical experience and knowledge and know-how. So I started making a few little inquiries. Now, some people say, well, technology moves so quickly that really, if somebody was practically expert in the subject yesterday, technology's moved on, they're not today. I see that point, but I don't think it's valid. And that would apply equally to any other trainer. But their view is you don't need to know anything, that if things change, we just give you another set of course notes to repeat. Who cares? And so they're not attempting to educate people coming in there, but attempting to issue certifications. Did you attend that course that was given by someone who knew nothing about the subject, who was simply repeating something that another certified person put together, who also didn't understand it, but was going off another checklist? And then you deliver that. At the end of it, then everyone gets a certificate or a star or a smiley stamp or a participation trophy, and that then becomes the qualification. Now, this is widespread in some areas of, say, public service employment and other sort of bureaucratic type things, HR departments and the like, where the issue isn't that you know what you're doing or understand anything. The issue is, do you have the certifications? Now, so it sets up a sort of a sequence of events where the people that make up the courses themselves are not expert or know little or nothing about it. They prepare course notes off a checklist that someone else prepared. They then give that to a trainer who also knows nothing and is just going off course notes and bullet points and checklists. And then that gives that to a student who then gets a certificate that says they attended a course, but they still know nothing. Maybe they picked up a few buzzwords or keywords or something and walked out the door, and that's it. So that's how training seems to be but probably not far removed from university courses these days. But that struck me as odd. So I asked him, well, why wouldn't you want experienced people that you can give them refresher courses and upgrade their knowledge if technology changes? I mean, so, but this idea that people have done the job for 20, 30 years or something like that and done it well and have all that expertise. Wouldn't you want somebody like that to impart that knowledge to the next generation? And I got deadpan looks. No, why? What's that got to do with anything? So what? What are you saying? You want lots of straight white males doing their misogynist? And times are different now. We've got black lesbian courses. Yeah, you want a straight white male doing that? Are you Hitler or something? Yeah. So there's actually no interest in the education. It's all ideological and inclusion and this and that, the buzzwords and participation trophies. And so it doesn't augur well for the future, because one of the things that certainly when I was a younger guy coming through, one of the things was quality training by people that really knew their stuff. And maybe there are some of those still around, but gee whiz, I can't see them. And I guess on balance of probability, there must be some, but there's not many of them. And that's kind of sad, because I think that lowers the standard for everybody. And it must, if they want the sort of inclusive society that the starry-eyed idiots dream about, the ideologues, then they really sort of have to do it this way. It becomes a dance macabre of the useless and the stupid, and rather than the accomplished and the diligent. But you also see the same thing, from certainly what I've seen or observed around is the amount of people, I talk to, like vice president, you say, well, how did your interviews go, or something? How did you get the job? And they were interviewed by people who didn't know anything about the job that they were hiring for or had to approve, and therefore couldn't ask any questions. And this feeds back in another thing that HR departments are always banging on about, that you don't hire people for skills, because skills are something that anyone can pick up. Somebody might have spent 20, 30 years acquiring the skills and the knowledge, but that doesn't matter. They can be picked up in 5 minutes. A checklist. All you do is you give someone a checklist and they audit, they have those skills. But what you're really hiring for is attitude. Okay, all right, let's concede that for a moment and say attitude is the issue here and not skills. No, I don't agree with that, but let's just have a look at that. So you've got someone who's just got participation trophies and certificates, and then it's assumed that's equivalent to skills. And I suppose if you're an HR operative, you've got your ass covered there, because they had all certificates. I mean, if they didn't turn out, well, it's not my fault. Look, they had all certificates. Look here, you see that? So it's a way of covering your ass, because these people in HR and even in the line management, most people up the chain, they've never done the job before, or don't know enough about it, or were just waved through for politically correct ideological reasons. They weren't waved through, or they didn't move up through the company or the firm or wherever it was. They didn't move up through achievements and accomplishments and getting results and doing the job well, and meeting their KPIs or that sort of thing. They moved up for all sorts of quota and inclusion reasons and things like that. So really, the entire edifice is made up now of people running off checklists who have certificates, and nobody actually knows what's going on. And you see this in the quality of the people who get hired. And the amount of people I meet in sort of my involvement, and I'm not doing it full time, but the amount of people I meet, it's astonishing how many are just simply, insanely unqualified to be doing the jobs they're doing. They're not only are they unqualified, but they've got these meaningless certificates, but they also have they've never had to take responsibility for failure. Now, one of the things that certainly, I had to put up. Well, I was put into sort of supervisory role pretty early, but I had to take all my failures. I had to take it right on the chin, and I got my ass kicked all around the office, one way and the other and back again for failure. and why did I not learn from the last failure, not learn enough, and these sorts of things. So you had to take that responsibility for failure, and you had to do better next time. Now, there are, I'm meeting people who now in their 40s or even 50s, and who've never had to deal with failure, who don't know what it's like to be responsible for a decision and to make a mistake or to miscalculate or to fuck it up. They've never had that and never had to face consequences. Some of this is because there are big, everything's now meetings where the group takes the responsibility collectively, so there's no one person you can take out the back and scream at or something like that. So, and these gender and race quota hires, they're very much into large committees and meetings. They love it, and no decision will get made unless there's consensus in a committee full of people, by the way, that don't even understand the decision they have to make or the stakes of it or the consequences of getting it wrong. And because they can take that collective responsibility, then they don't have any individual responsibility to do better next time, and that really shows up. So this is something that's really a big issue in Western business today, and it's leading us down a path to reduced wealth, if not sort of general bankruptcy. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.